If you have a dog who watches TV with you, that's actually a pretty recent development, and it has nothing to do with your dog. For most of television history, your dog wasn't watching TV. They were watching a strobe light. And the reason why tells you something genuinely fascinating about how differently their eyes work from yours. Let's get into it. The flicker problem. Here's something most people have never heard of: the flicker fusion rate. It's the speed at which your eyes take individual still frames and blend them into smooth, continuous motion. For humans, that threshold sits at around 16 to 20 frames per second. That's all we need for things to look like they're moving fluidly, which is why film has worked at 24 frames per second for over a century. Totally smooth to us. For dogs, according to research from Cambridge University's Veterinary Ophthalmology Department, that number is dramatically higher, somewhere between 70 and 80 frames per second. Now here's where it gets interesting. Old CRT televisions, the thick boxy screens most of us grew up with, ran at just 50 to 60 Hz. Which means for your dog, those screens weren't showing a movie. They were showing a rapidly flickering slideshow. A strobe. Completely unwatchable. This is why dogs famously ignored television for most of its existence. It wasn't indifference. The technology literally wasn't built for their eyes. Then screens changed. Modern LED and LCD TVs run at 100, 120, even 240 Hz. High enough that dogs can finally see smooth, continuous motion. The TV got better, and suddenly dogs became TV watchers. It's that simple and that strange. Now that they can watch it, what are they actually seeing? Not what you're seeing. Not even close. Dogs have dichromatic vision, where you have 3 types of color receptors. They have 2. Their world is filtered through blues and yellows. Reds look brownish, greens wash out. So the rich, full-color image you're watching? Your dog is getting a much more muted, limited version of it. Think of it as permanently color-graded. But here's what they're getting more of than you. Dogs have significantly more rod cells in their retinas than humans do, the receptors responsible for detecting motion and low light. Their visual system is optimized, at a neurological level, for detecting movement. Fast, precise, immediate detection of anything that's moving. So on screen, your dog isn't missing much of the story. They're locked onto every single thing that moves. The sound gateway. Here's something the research consistently shows that surprises people. The first thing that draws your dog to the TV isn't what's on screen. It's what they hear. Studies on dog TV behavior have found that sound is the primary attractor, specifically barking, whimpering, squeaky toy sounds, and people using dog-directed speech, that high warm tone we use when we're talking to them. Sound pulls their attention to the screen. Then what they see keeps them there. And what keeps them there most? Other animals. Other dogs especially. If this is making you think about your dog differently, hit subscribe. We cover the science behind your dog's behavior every week, right here on The Pet Theory. Now let's talk about the brand new research that finally put some hard numbers on all of this. In July 2025, researchers at Auburn University published the first major peer-reviewed study, specifically designed to measure how dogs watch TV. Published in Scientific Reports, the study surveyed over 650 dog owners and analyzed 453 dogs. They built something called the Dog Television Viewing Scale, a 16-question tool that categorized exactly how dogs engage with what's on screen. 88.3% of dogs in the study actively responded to television. But more interesting than whether they watch is how they watch. Because the study found that your dog's personality shapes their viewing style, almost the same way yours does. 3 distinct viewer types emerged. The first, animal-focused watchers. These dogs light up for other animals on screen, especially other dogs. They'll stare, they'll approach, they'll react. The second type, followers. Excitable dogs who physically track objects as they move across and off the screen. And the third type, cautious reactors. More anxious dogs who don't respond much to animals at all, but get triggered by non-animal content. Human voices, doorbells, car sounds. Your dog isn't just watching TV. They're watching it in a way that's completely consistent with who they are. The dogs who track objects off screen are actually doing something that deserves its own moment. When a dog physically moves to look behind the TV after an animal runs off screen, they're not being silly. They're demonstrating that on some level, they believe the animal was there, that the image was real, that something with a body just left the frame and might still be somewhere in the room. they're not fully distinguishing between a screen and reality. And that's not a limitation. That's a window into how powerful their visual processing actually is. They see an animal moving, their predator brain fires, and it responds as though the animal is present. Millions of years of instinct, activated by a 65-inch OLED. So what does all of this mean practically? If you leave your dog home alone and want to put something on for them, it matters what you choose. Dog TV, the channel specifically engineered for canine viewers, was built by reviewing over 50 research studies. It uses the color spectrum dogs can actually see, content featuring animals and nature, and audio frequencies shown to be calming rather than stimulating. If you don't have dog TV, nature documentaries, specifically ones featuring animals in motion with natural ambient sound, hit the same notes. Avoid content with loud, unpredictable audio spikes like action movies or sports. For anxious dogs especially, those can be more stressor than comfort. And if your dog seems completely indifferent to the TV no matter what you put on, that's normal too. Around 12% of dogs in the Auburn study showed minimal response to television at all. Some dogs are just not visual animals. Their world is in their nose, not their eyes. And no amount of David Attenborough narration is going to change that. Every time your dog jumps up and stares at something moving on screen, they're not being quirky. They're running ancient hardware on modern technology. Eyes built over millions of years to track prey across open ground, now pointed at a 4K screen showing a golden retriever bounding through a park. The instincts don't know the difference. The brain fires anyway. And honestly, that's kind of incredible. So tonight, when you're watching something and your dog looks up, look back at them for a second. You're both watching the same screen. You're both seeing something completely different. If you learned something new here, drop it in the comments. Does your dog watch TV? And what do they react to most? I want to know. A thumbs up helps more people find this. And subscribing to The Pet Theory means you won't miss what's coming next. I'll see you then.